Big things in the When I am Tara, aka Spirit Mother, I'd like to welcome you back to my channel on YouTube. It's Spirit to Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self. On my TikTok, it is 1974 Enlightened Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. Today is Mother's Day, so I am on today to talk about mothers. Okay, today has been a really rough day. My mother, she passed away in 2014. So today was really the first time that I think that I really actually allowed myself to mourn that loss, even though like I talked to her on the spirit realm. In a lot of ways, it's like it's not so much the same as actually having them in the physical realm where you can actually like hug them and really like see them. Okay. I actually uh, did a lot of going within today, finding out that a lot of my pain and my hurt comes from when I was a child and watching my mom growing up because our mothers are big influences and even if you don't have like your actual biological mother, like you may have had a mother figure and the mother figure can go in different directions. Like it can be a loving, caring mother and still have like their own things that they're dealing with. And then you can have the mother where like they just can't handle it and things become more intense and we feel like we're not wanted or cared for. I have been doing a lot of going within and a lot of shadow work. And today was actually a big day for my shadow work because I've suppressed a lot of feelings that I've had towards my mom. Um, I love my mom very much, and she was my rock. We had our we had our bumps, we had our differences, and we had a really like I had a really big issue towards the end of it. Towards the end, when she was passing, because when I was younger, I made a decision, and that decision, as I got older, kind of had me looking at certain things. And there's going to be people that maybe that are watching me that resonate with this, but there's also going to be people that's not going to be impressed with me for what I'm bringing forward. And you know, that's on them. It's like if like I've suppressed it for so long. I've held it in for so long, and I watched and I observed, and it was like it was rubbed in my face, which actually began to hurt, even though like at the beginning it didn't hurt, but in some degree it did because it was a big part of why I left home at a young age. And some would say, "Oh, well, you just didn't want to listen to, you didn't want to listen to rules." Wasn't that I didn't want to listen to rules because there wasn't really any rules to have to listen to in retrospect there. And I'm not throwing shade because like our parents do the best they can with the things that they were taught growing up. Um, on my TikTok and YouTube, I posted this. it's not for sympathy, because like I know a lot of people can resonate with it. Like this can be like a very special day for people, but it can also be a very hard day for people who don't have their mother's friend or that mother figure that they looked up to. So this here says mothers don't want materialistic things. Mothers want respect and appreciation. Mothers are unappreciated and not respected. If you have the opportunity to hug your mother, to walk with her, talk with her, hold on to her, and never let her go, because she's not going to be around forever. And then it was, I love and miss you, Mom, because she is, and I have, you are my golden heart. She was, because my mother had a golden heart. She, she didn't stand up a lot for herself, and she too was a young mom. And growing up in my family, and I know in many other families, we weren't supposed to talk about what we were experiencing. We weren't supposed to talk about things that we were going through, anything that had anything to do with pain or suffering of what we were experiencing. We weren't supposed to talk about it. It was just pushed under the rug for the most part. And a lot of us, we go through life, it's like, oh well, like you get over it. Like you don't need to be crying now or things like that. And I know back years ago, I was doing upgrading, and my mom, we were at an exhibition, and my mom started having chest pain, and I was getting nervous and I was getting scared. So I became sort of or like trying to get her to the hospital as quick as possible. And in my upgrading, they had a kind of a competition thing, but I wasn't entering it for the competition. I was just kind of entering it just for the sake of just writing my poem. If it got published, it got published. And my poem actually did get published. It was just in kind of a workbook, a thing. And it's on a moonlit night. On a moonlit night, under the stars, they were so very bright. I sat, I heard a sound. It was a man, his voice so soft and sweet. His voice was calling to me to let me know that everything would be all right. I looked to the stars once more. I knew it was time to go. I felt in my heart a pain. I knew that I had to let go, for he was calling me so. On a moonlit night, I got too weak. My words went silent and very low. But before I left, I told him, I love you so. So that was like the connection between self and spirit, the oneness. Through growing up, like what I said, my mom was a young mom, okay? And my mom got married young. My mom was 16 when she got married. She was 15 when she got pregnant and had my sister, my sibling, when 3 months after she had turned 16. And then a couple months after that, she got married. So she didn't really have an experience. I don't do readings in public. I don't so much do readings as I talk with people and I ask questions, because usually people want readings or what have you. It's because they're trying to figure something out. So I I read through your body more or less when I'm connected with you in that sense. And I do have tarot cards, and when spirit guides me to use them, I use them. Now with mother, I, as some people know, I've said before, I got pregnant at the age of 14 and a half. I say it was my first time because the first time that there was sex involved, it was a rape. So when I had willing sex, I was 14 and a half and I got pregnant. And see, some people think they know what really went down, but they don't. They only know bits and pieces of it. And I've gone through life feeling this and regretting things sometimes. But at the same time, understanding why my mom did what she did in that aspect. And in some cases, like I had one sibling where she had said something that was very, it hit home hard. And when it hit me, I grabbed her by the throat. And when I grabbed her by the throat, like I shoved her up against the fridge because it hit me. And this song, every time I get on, it comes on. It's saying that a mouthpiece and about us born sick. Well, we were only born sick because of the system. My mother, my mother, not only is she my rock, but like even though she didn't stand up for herself in many ways, she still showed me in the good ways of the woman that I wanted to be. Kind, understanding, and the connection. And like I know she was suffering a lot herself, big time. Because from the time I was little, as far back as I can remember, my mom was on medication. And there were times when it was like she was just so drug out. It's like they're not only are they being mothers, but they're working. And then both parents are working. So they can provide for the children. So then families divide. Like the older siblings end up looking after the children. So then they're deprived of their youth, their childhood, because they have to take on the role of the parent. So I have to say, like, for my oldest sister, she was in ways like a mother to me too, because she had to take on like certain roles. And like with my mother, I had issues with my sister. And when I was in the psychiatric unit the second time, she came in and she was there and she was sitting with me. It was like my mom was sitting there. When I found out that I was pregnant, um, we come home and then my mom and dad went to work and my mom come home because one of my sisters called her. My mom called home and asked how I was doing and told her that like she doesn't seem to be doing very good because I was crying and sad and I didn't know what to do. Like I was 14 and a half and I was pregnant. So my mom come home and everybody was gone. My mom and I were talking, and my mom asked me what I was going to do, and I said, "Well, I'm not having an abortion, and I'm not giving the baby up for an adoption to a complete stranger, someone that I don't even know." And I said that I got it like more or less like I have to keep the baby. I'm keeping the baby. It's staying around me. And she she gave me basically a choice. And one of my sisters said, "No, she didn't say that at all." Well, she did. Okay. They weren't, nobody was there. They don't really know. And my mom said about giving the baby up for adoption or allowing her and my dad to adopt the baby. And my mom wanted that because my aunt had a baby at the age of 17. And my grandmother was looking after the baby and she had been looking after the baby for like 7 years or so. And the mother had gone away and she come back and then took the baby. So my mom was afraid that that was going to happen to her. And my mom always, I know she had always, like, even though she had 4 children, it was like she was having that baby, baby fever. So I thought that it was a great thing because I'd be able to have them around and everything like that. And it was like I ran. I couldn't handle the parts I didn't really understand so much because I was still a kid, and it caused for me it caused a separation in my family. And I no longer knew where I stood. I was quite confused. I felt pushed out of the family, but I was still connected with my mom in many ways. Like my mom and I, we both went through a lot of similar things because I know my mom was a lot like my mom. My mom was a lot like me, and my mom was fighting her own demons. Now, before getting pregnant, I ended up. I was my mom was hooked. My mom was addicted to codeine, big time. So it's causing a lot of kind of stress within the family. And my mom was feeling quite lost. So not only was she trying to suppress her physical pain, but she was also trying to suppress her mental pain. And this one day, I was upstairs in her room, and I was talking on the phone with a friend of mine. I just happened to look out, and when I looked out, my mom was in the drive. My mom was in the driveway in the cab, and I looked out, and my mom was climbing on the driver. She was like totally doped up on Tylenol, like Tylenol threes, codeine, all of her medications, and she was drinking on top of that. And I told my friend I had to go. I went downstairs. I opened the cab driver's door, and I told my mom to get out of the car now. And she was so under the influence. She was trying to pull the door, telling me to get and everything like that. I said, "No, mom, get out of the car." And I finally was able to get her out of the car. And I told the cab driver, "No, get the hell out of here," because he was allowing her to do that. He wasn't doing anything to really stop her. And I started, like, she started kind of coming after me, and I was kind of like running from her because at that point I was afraid. And I got off the road and she was tearing, she was hollering for me to get back there. Get back here now. But she was upset with me. And I come back to her, and when I come back to her, she grabbed my arm. And I'm not throwing shade on my mom, I'm explaining something. Okay. She took my arm and she twisted it and she was bending it, almost breaking it, and my hair got caught. So she was twisting my arm, but my hair was being pulled at the same time. And I told her, I don't care if you can break my arm. So I got going, and she had grabbed me by the throat. And then I got her to stop, and I went in the house, and she ended up getting in the neighbor's van, and the neighbor had to come up and get her. And we got her in the house and up in the bed. And my grandpa was there at the time. Like he couldn't do a whole lot of anything because he wasn't well. And my dad would come home from work for like for supper or what have you. And he was talking to me, and I was like, going like this, holding my hair over the marks. And my dad was like, because one time before I had a big huge chickie on my neck, and I had been hiding it. So he was checking, and he made me move my hand, and when I moved my hand, I had her handprints on my neck. And my dad was like, "What happened?" Nothing. No, what happened? Tell me what happened. And I told him, and he went upstairs and he grabbed my mom out of the bed and he rustled her down the stairs. And he wasn't too light about it, which, then he made her look at what she had done. And at first, she was in denial, but it was making her look and see what she had just done to her daughter. We ended up getting her in detox, and she got off the codeine. But like there was still the other drugs that medications that she was like really hooked on. Then I got pregnant, and then my mom was working so much, and there was two guys, and they had her in the storage room, and they had sexually assaulted her, and it went to arbitration. And when it went to arbitration, like at this time, I was in conflict with my son's father and some of the family, and I was getting stuff written to me about my mom and lying and saying that she was being sexually assaulted and everything like that. She was. They went to arbitration, and basically the guys that were assaulting her, they basically got off it, and my mom ended up leaving work because it affected her mentally. Now, when this was after I give birth and the babies were fine and what have you, and I left home at 16, and then when I was 17, I come home, and at that time, when I was 17, my mom was in the psychiatric unit again. My mom and I, we had been back and forth because we were trying to understand what we were experiencing, and mental health wasn't helping us. And we were taking on, it's like we take on a lot. And I know that my sisters do because we all experienced both our mother and our father because it's how you in a family when you grow up. And I just got asked, was there physical abuse? I heard about stuff, but I never witnessed some of it, so I don't know with that retrospect. But there was a lot of physical altercations between with my with myself and like with my siblings and that. What happened. I just didn't really fight back in those cases. But my mom, it was like she'd always end up in the middle of it because she didn't like us. She didn't like the fighting. No one we really did. So I know, like, we have trouble with our mothers sometimes. Some of us, our mothers treat us extremely terribly, and we can never understand why. We cannot love more than one child at a time. And then, like, it's part of, do we know what our mother's upbringing was like, what they went through, what they experienced before we were born in all aspects of life? So I overdosed this one night in 2000, or not 2000, when I was 17. And when I overdosed, I remember like bits and pieces of it. And the most important part that I remember was hearing my oldest son, who in the family I'm not supposed to class him as that, but I do because he's not my brother. Whether a legal document says that or implies that, he came from my body. So I've had a lot from that. And then when I overdosed, all I could hear was him, and I could hear him hollering. He called me Tard. I could hear him hollering, "No, Tard, come back, Tard, come back, Tard, Tard, no, don't go, Tard, come back, Tard." And then I remember like bits and pieces of like blood rushing from my nose because they had the tube, and it went like that. And then I remember them saying, "You need to calm down because your dad's out there." And then the next day, I got taken and I got put in the child care unit. That was the same day that my mom got out. And my mom had been in a few times, and every time she was in the hospital when I got older and was closer and able to get to her, I was there all the time. But I know a lot of us, like, I know of another person who growing up, their mother hung around a lot of authority figures, which was causing harm to the child. And the mother wasn't really protecting the child. And a lot of us, we feel that way. Like when things happen, we feel like the mother's not protecting us. And sometimes it's the part of is the mother able to protect themselves? Do we know the whole story except for like what we see and what we experience? I had experiences in different ways with my mom, and that's how I know she was fighting her demons as I was fighting mine. Because in '99, when I used the Ouija board, my mom was with me the whole time. My mom was listening to me. My mom was hearing me because my mom knew of the spiritual aspect of it, but a lot of us, we didn't want to say anything because of ridicule, because of what others would say. So my mom, she was my rock throughout it, and she took me for my exorcism. And I know she was fighting her own demons because after that, we had gone to a dance, and she had freaked out. And I took and I put her down to calm her down. And I kind of took her to the ground, easy though, and I sat on her and I kind of walked on her to calm her down. And I kept telling her, "You're going to calm down. Like you're not getting up until you calm down." And I was kind of lean like this, and then all of a sudden she came in, like she was just like it was like something had taken over. And she come up and she did, and she was biting really hard. And I told her, "I don't care. You can bite it effing tough right out of my arm. You're still not getting out until you calm down." And she calmed down. And I know some children don't want to see their parents split up, but like there's a lot of frustration within the home because there was a lot of stress from working and like just trying to take care of the household and work at the same time, and it's like a woman is put in a position where not only do they have to do this, but they have to do everything else too. Because they still go to work because that was the thing. Like it was like the man had the notion that, well, it's the woman's role. Okay, well, if the woman's working too, why is everything always the women's role? And I seen the pain to my mom because my mom wanted to expand herself. My mom wanted to grow. My mom wanted to be doing something that she enjoyed opposed to going to work and cleaning up other people's crap. My mom wanted to do something for herself. And when she was trying to do something like that, when she brought it forward, she was discouraged. Oh, well, no, you can't do that. But my mom would have made would have made some good money doing it. But it's that part of we get suppressed. And I'm not pointing fingers at my dad or at anybody in that sense. But it's where what comes in is where we should be encouraging people to do the things that they love to do because when we don't, then we get the parts where they give and give and give, and then they just want to be grudging of it because they're so angry not only with others but with themselves because they don't know how to set boundaries and say no. And that's where like our mothers are underappreciated because we don't see and we don't understand where they're coming from. And in 2011, it started getting really rough for my mom and I. She got aggressive, mostly because of like if she drank or if she was on this medication. And my mom wasn't a big drinker, but when she drank, she could not handle her alcohol. And I will be honest, because most people cannot handle their alcohol. I don't care whether you're male or female. Most people cannot handle alcohol. When I Lots of things in between bothered me because she had always said that if my oldest wanted to find his biological father, that she would help him. And then I caught wind that they had been searching on my computer to try to find the man, their biological. And it was in 2008, a year later, I was on my Facebook and I was looking and I found them. contacted my mom, and my mom got us like kind of upset, and she went and told them that I found them, but the way she had said it was in a way that like caused a lot of friction. So it's like a lot of other stuff had come into play. Um, Me and my ex-husband went to Alberta to try to get medical treatment for me, and I left my youngest son there and my dogs. And my mom was upset because she had found out that our oldest son had contacted them, and she got upset. And then my youngest sister was upset with her and said that she should take my dogs to the pound, and told my youngest son, I guess from what I understand, was that just something not nice about me. And that hits home because it's like, I want you people to take and put yourself in my situation. See how you'd feel about it. So whether my family's watching this and they have something to say, you know, that's on you. This is something that has been bottled up within me. And all day today, I was crying. Today I went, and when I did the video on my TikTok to like say that I was going to be on live later, I was sitting down by the river, and I was just sitting there and I was listening to something, and it was having me really miss my mom because we never got the chance to sort through it. And there were a number of times when I told her I hated her. And when you say stuff like that, you can't take it back. Because in ways I felt like I was let down by my mom, but it wasn't that I was let down by her. It was she felt she was doing the right thing. And she was in a certain aspect of it, but it left me feeling like I didn't know where I belonged. I felt like I just completely lost my place. Like I was invisible. Like it was the kind of the dirty secret in a way. Because I was never supposed to tell people that I had. It was almost like it was, and then there was times where it's like it gets rubbed in my face. And this is a big part of my show, of what causes me a lot of pain, because now me and this person, my oldest, we have a terrible relationship. And someone thought, oh, because of you. It's like, really? I gave my oldest son one time a CD explaining everything. I'm not sure if he ever watched it. And then I had one of my sisters that told me because I had my oldest son and me, my parents adopted him, and I got everything that I wanted. Are you like seriously? I got everything that I wanted. I got nothing. I gave. I didn't ask for anything. It just like I had a relationship in many ways with them. And then after I found his biological father, that's when things really went to shit. There's a lack of respect for me. And I still to this day take the shit. So I was really I've been upset and holding a lot with regards to my mom so I wouldn't mourn because I was angry and it never got resolved. So in 2014, like the thing was, like I had hysterectomy, and that was not fun because when I went in for the surgery, the nurse put the anesthesiologist or whatever put the IV in and put the stuff, and she just pushed it really hard. So when she pushed it, all backlashed. And at that time, I didn't know that, like, when you're halfway through surgery, they will bring you out halfway so they can check your vitals to make sure everything's fine. So she squirted it and all backlash, and she took a towel and she just blotted it and then wrapped a bunch of tape around it and said, "Let's hope it doesn't come out during surgery." They never put any more stuff in. So halfway through surgery, when they bring you out halfway, I didn't just come out halfway, I came out all the way. Everything was black, but I came out all the way and I could literally feel them cutting my insides and pulling them out through my vagina. And I was screaming. I was screaming for my mom, and my mom was deceased. Because in many ways, like even if we're angry with our mothers, in many ways it's still we mourn that loss of what we didn't have in many ways. Or sometimes we come to hate them, despise them, because we feel that they failed us or they didn't do their job by protecting us. And that's why, like, today hits home for many people in different ways. Like, some, a lot of people, they have good relationships with their mother and their mother is still around. And then there's ones that, like, their mothers are around, but they have bad relationships, or their mothers are deceased and they had bad relationships. And now it's that part that I can't fix what I had with my mom or what I didn't have with my mom because they're no longer here. So this time, like whenever we have these said traditional holidays, a lot of it is because you can celebrate your mom any day. A lot of it is it's about like the materialistic stuff of it, and that's why I said like we don't want materialistic stuff. We want the respect and appreciation. And I know sometimes we feel like we don't receive the respect from our parents, so we don't give it. I understand that totally. Because I'm still going through it because I'm of the mindset like you want respect from me, but you don't want to give me the respect that I deserve. Mother's Day is really rough for me and for many others. Some of us mothers we have lost children. Or sometimes that can bring back triggering. A mother without their child, the same as a child without their mother. The bond between most mothers and children is very strong. See, earlier when I was doing a lot of my shadow work with regards to it, I was saying a lot more within myself because my mother and I, we, we communicate through spirit together. And I've done a lot of this, but today was really the hit home because it was like there's a lot of light stuff, light clothes, a lot of shifting, and my body is pushing it all out. And this was a big part of what I was holding in. And I know that there's an energy within this part that is hitting right here. It's like part of it is trying to stop from feeling, and part of it is trying to keep it from coming up. But see, the problem is that nothing's ever discussed and we don't know what our parents go through. And then sometimes it's like what they go through, it reflects on us. And then it's like, well, we hear, well, when I was younger, it's like, okay, yeah, when you were younger, that's when you were younger. Things have changed. See, just a mother even hearing her child or children acknowledge them, wishing them a happy Mother's Day, and they're just that words. And it doesn't have to be a gift. It doesn't have to be anything. It's that time you spend, whether it be with your biological mother or whether it be with a mother figure. Like I know someone in my life that, like, when they were told that their mother had passed, it was just like your mother died. And this person, the way they reacted, it was like I thought they were going to go. I thought they were going to go insane because in many ways their mother was their anchor, but their mother was going through the same similar stuff as my mother, and I know that. And then this person can tell me into their blue face that, oh no. But whether a person is appear to be a good person, it's that fact of like, hey, I when things happen, I told my mom and dad, like, why don't you guys just separate for a while and see if you still love each other? Because when that happens, then the kids are in the middle of it. And then this person, when their mother wanted to leave, this person told their mother that if they left, they would have nothing to do with either parent, which was wrong. It's up to them if they had something to do with the other parent, but to manipulate or guilt a parent into staying in a relationship that they no longer that they don't want to be in, staying in it for your children, you're not doing your children any favors. You're actually causing more harm to that child in that sense, because that child is growing up and they're seeing a home that it may appear to have some kind of love, but the form of love is showing the closeness, the intimacy, the connection. And this is why a lot of us feel like there's a lack of respect. And then our mothers, a lot of time, they give us and give and give and give and give. Their heart can no longer give anymore. We don't respect it. We don't appreciate it because they give so much that they no longer say no. So there's no appreciation because it goes from respect and appreciation to no, not privileged, always expecting. You don't get it. You show total disrespect. I know, and I see it a lot where, like, where there's a lack of respect within the whole family. And it comes from a lack of respect for being able to allow feelings to be expressed or to be able to talk about things so that things can get resolved. And when we don't talk, nothing gets resolved. And then a lot of time, it's usually the mother that gets kind of caught in the middle of it. So not only are we like homemakers who go to work, we're, as that labor song says, we're the counselors, we're even the referees. Because my mom had to be a referee one time for me and my one of my like my second oldest sister. We were both pregnant at the time. And she knew she was pregnant, and I didn't know that I was pregnant. We got into a little tit for wabbing, and she was pulling my hair, and I wouldn't hit her. My mom was pulling her away from me. And my dad said, you should have left her downstairs, to duke it out. And her mom was more or less no, because like I have a temper sometimes, but I don't physically harm people in that sense. So, um, I don't. Oh crap! Sorry. Um, I wouldn't have hit her anyways. I wouldn't have done anything because I'm not saying to. I'm saying that we have no idea, and that's where like hardness comes from. And I don't know your situation. Love and protection is very important, yes. And see, the thing is, growing up, like with even feeling like with our own parents, we don't know what their childhood was like in that sense because they don't tell us for the most part. Um, Sorry, I'm just. So, like, I can totally relate to people that's having animosity or like just feeling kind of in that place. But it's that part where we look within ourselves, we go in our own shadows and see where the original pain came from with regards to our mothers. So it's, I know that like sometimes like mothers go away. Like my mother, she ended up like going away a lot because she couldn't handle home. So I know that like some get left with the brunt of everything. And keep running because we no longer want to be around it. We love the people, love the person, but we get to a point where we feel like we can't handle it no more. And then when my mom's mom passed away a year prior, that was when my mom really gave up on herself. She gave up on herself and she started smoking herself to death. And we were watching it. It was like she didn't even have a cigarette. It was constant. And she did. She let herself go and she gave up hope. And then when it was too late, she decided that she didn't want to die. But it was too late. And I wish she would have seen it earlier. Because if I could have saved her, it would have. Because they had a meeting and she said about she had wanted a lung transplant, but it was too late. And I would have given her a lung in a heartbeat. I would have given her a lung. I would have been a match. I would have given her a lung. But it's not part of right now. People don't understand what it is that I'm going through. So I'm experiencing. There's one time I was asked a question. If you were given all the money in the world, would you sacrifice your family? Or would you sacrifice yourself to save your family? And I said that I'd sacrifice myself. So, I might look like a moron. I might look like an idiot. I might look like a delusional, crazy lady. But, you know, we're all here to help save each other, to teach each other how to help themselves. And some people don't want to. And I understand that. But that's where I have to ask why. Where did you give up? What made you give up on yourself? What made you give up on this person? because spirit doesn't give up on anyone. That's why it's like whether the person loves me or not, or cares about me, I still want to see the best of me. Si quería todo en el cuello, si quería eso que tú porque people be a right now I have some deer out in my backyard, and the baby deer is actually down there and fighting. Isso que eu acho. It's like, woohoo, let's go have some fun with them. Like he's just like he or she, they're just like kind of spastic, and it's like with the mother, and it's like seeing the animal kingdom of how connected they are to one another. And I know even in the animal kingdom, there's some that disown their own offspring. And then the offspring finds another family that takes them in. And that's what you get. Maybe they're not your biological mother, but they're a mother figure. Sicuramente tagliato questa, dice che visto che can't speak for everyone. And I can't tell you to forgive anybody because that's up to you. But like when you allow that and you allow yourself to find what the problem is and you allow yourself to talk through it with your spirit to their spirit, it doesn't necessarily have to be the physical person. It could be within self, from spirit to spirit. And that's what my YouTube channel is. It's spirit to spirit teachings of going within self. It's going within yourself and resolving things within yourself because it allows you to release and let go of that weight that we carry around. I'm sorry, what you need for you to forgive. I'm still going through this to let it go. I still talk with my mom sometimes for spirit. And it's, you hear people just forgive them, just forgive them. Well, in order for forgiveness, that's the part where you have to go through the pain. You really need to go through the pain in order to release it. Give both sides of it, yourself and the other person, or what have you. And you will start to be lighter. You will become feel more free. That's what the freedom is. It's freedom within yourself because spirit is out here and we're experiencing it because it's all with regards to energy and moving the energy, rewriting your own story, not allowing yourself to be the victim anymore and not being the victimizer. It's seeing with both the mind and the heart and feeling through with the heart. Like, oh, shoot. I was looking for the volume button and it was like, okay. So I know that today not only was I feeling myself in that way, but I was also feeling the collective. I was feeling the oneness of everyone that was experiencing feelings today, whether they were happy or whether they were very heavy and feeling sadness. It's like sometimes it feels sadly, but we're experiencing things for a reason. Even if we don't know that reason, our heart knows, and our shadows are trying to deal with it. So it's coming up to the surface, whether it comes up crying, laughing, or in frustration or anger. That's the feeling. And in a lot of cases, we're told we're not supposed to feel it. So in times like this, some of us are just feeling very alone in many ways. And sometimes we're the mother and feeling that our children aren't contacting us. Sometimes we know, and sometimes we don't. But every day to me is Mother's Day. This here just causes a lot of pain for people and expectations through a system that says that, oh, like, hey, we got a big sale on new mattresses. Go buy your mother a brand new couch set. No interest, no payments for 6 months. Seriously? Are they not taking advantage of people? It's taking advantage of people's guilt. Sometimes, like, I wonder when I look back at what they talk about the biblical sense and what have you, and they say about like how suppressed the women were. Was it actually like a female that was coming up and saying stuff and bringing stuff forward, and she was actually the one that got put on the cross? The crucifixion, crucified, Mary Magdalene throwing stones at her. Yes, it's not. It's like there's nothing wrong with Hallmark stuff where there's love involved, but it's about commercialism, and they play on the love aspect of it. Oh, you gotta go! You gotta go get your mom some diamond earrings. Most moms sometimes it's just like, leave me the fuck alone for the day. Or, let's sit down and have dinner or supper together at the table or sitting around enjoying something together instead of catering to the commercialism of it. So some might like what I'm saying and understand what I'm saying. And some of you may want to come in and try and troll me. That's on you. Like I said before, it just means that you have your own inner work that you need to be doing. If you're coming along and doing stuff like that, especially when somebody's expressing their feelings. or even the feelings of others. Exactly. The only person you can control is you. As much as we think that we can control other people, we can go through the motions of like, because I go through the motions of screaming because it's a part of trying to make sense of it all. Of like, what? Why is this person not seeing what I'm seeing? And it's because we see things differently. We can try to change the outcome, but it's that part of free will. I just know that I understand when it comes to mothers and how some can be distanced because like, they don't know how to love because they never felt the love, or they're just mimicking behaviors, or they're afraid of standing up, or maybe they did try to stand up and then something happened. So it creates a fear within them. I don't really like, I have cards and I've used them for myself. I've actually used cards before with people, but it's more of me sitting one on one with people and kind of doing a reading through the connection with the body opposed to resorting to a card using my actual connection and intuition. And then if spirit guides me just to kind of find synchronicities or fish that kind of bring up what it is within you of what you're trying to get the answers to. So that to me is the forms of teaching that I bring, like teachings that I bring forward. I do more of the reading within like conversation and body language, and as I'm having the conversation, that's when I start receiving different forms of information coming through, and I'll start asking questions because I'll start getting like others, like hearing others say things and putting them out, getting me to put them out there. So like when my mom passed, because she passed, and then my sister, it was like energy. It was like a love energy between my sister and I. And just kind of, it's like we laid our hands onto our mom, and all of a sudden she woke up. And then a couple weeks later, she had passed, and I kind of, when she died, it was like I lost a piece of me. And in some ways, like it was like she was heaven and she was hell. Same as me, heaven and hell. But she was very, very reserved for most times. She would say shit if she had a multiple, even if it was to save herself. About getting in the balance, ebony and ivory. The center of the masculine and feminine coming together back to self and loving self, so that when you love self, it's easier to love others because you're able to navigate situations, and before pulling full judgment, you're able to see it and realize like, okay, wait a minute, I don't know what this person experienced. And it's also that part of spirit to spirit, and I've said it many other times, like you could have, like you could be somewhere and this person walks through the room and you feel like you don't like them, but you don't know them. That's spirit to spirit. That's a part of your spirit from a different realm, parallel realm, what have you, that is recognizing the spirit within that person from different aspects, different nows, and they had turmoil together. So we become mediums in order to help these spirits navigate, help these spirits move on. It's like that this series, and I use it a lot once upon a time when in the underworld. People are in the underworld and they have unfinished business. Well, that's the aspect of the unfinished business. And these spirits are coming and seeing one another. And they haven't resolved something, something from a different aspect of their life. Exactly. It may feel like it's really hard to feel like you love others. Like I have somebody that I'm around all the time and I love them, but I hate the attitude and I hate the situations. But it's that part of there's a hardness there too. There's the friction there, things that we are working through, that we work through as souls, as spirit individuals, as human experiences. And they say that, oh well, you're everybody's supposed to suffer. We're not supposed to be suffering. That's just a program to make everybody think that way. And that's the part. And it's believe me and trust me when I say I know that it's not easy to forgive someone. And sometimes it's not easy to forgive ourselves. And it irritates me when you get this part within the church aspect of it, and they're going in and they're doing confirmation or whatever it's called, confession. Thank you. Confession, when they go in to do confession and they confess what they say to be their sins, which is they program it as sins, but it's wrongdoings. It's actually a lack of judgment, sometimes a lack of empathy, because then we go and we say, forgive me for what I've done and everything like that. But then it's like when you go back out and you do the same thing, it's like, wait a minute. Like, didn't you just ask for forgiveness from that? But you're going to go out and do it again after you just asked for forgiveness because you figured it was wrong? It's like it don't work that way, because it just comes in here. It's like we say, put it out for God, put it out for spirit, the universe, what have you. Yes, but you got to remember one thing: you're the universe, so you're putting it back to yourself because you're going to experience it again until you realize that this is why you keep experiencing. You keep getting. Oh yeah, if like weight can become darkness, it's because you're suppressing it all. And the more you suppress it, it gets infuriated. And it's perceived as being darkness and being the shadows, but it's actually that aspect of yourself. In many ways, it's the child aspect of yourself that is saying, "Hey, you got to deal with this. You're hurting me because you're not dealing with it. Not, I hate that word, dealing with it, because you're not working through it. You're not allowing yourself to experience the feelings because it hurts to experience the feelings. But it hurts more when you suppress it and then spirit finally says, okay, ding, you're going to feel it now. Opposed to if you start learning how to work through it and allow your body to feel it, and whether it's the experience that you had with your mother growing up or what have you. The balance, the chakra system is being balanced on both sides, the yin yang, the masculine, feminine. Because that's what it is. And it's making that connection. And right now, what's happening with a lot of people is that connection is fighting against itself. It's the light and the shadow, and the shadow wants to be heard and seen, but the light is trying to in ways. Like, you have to go. You find the light coming through the darkness, and it's fucking scary. And the more you push it down, like I said, it becomes even more scary and more intense. Exactly. Speak your truth. Okay. They say a lot, and then like I said before, they like to play on words. So I play back when they say about like history with regards to the gods and what have you. They say, "Oh, that's all this stuff is myth," but it's actually my truth. They're telling you it's a myth because, oh, well, you can't believe, like, don't believe that. Don't believe that. We don't want you to believe in that because shit, if you believe that, holy shit, you actually have the secrets to the universe. I don't give readings like this. I don't come on here and do read. There are people that do readings, as I explained to someone else. The way I do things is I actually do one-on-one, and I connect with somebody so that I can feel where it is that what they're trying to work through, why, like what answer they're really trying to come to. Because I don't know, like you're asking about, you're saying about waiting for results, and if you should be worried. It's not part of why do you feel you should be worried? Is there something going on that is worrying you? Sometimes, like it could be something where we can overreact something, but it's that part of finding out what caused you to worry in the first place. Because worrying can actually cause more anxiety and it can bring out different outcomes. I used to be in the mindset of looking at things and seeing the worst case scenario, opposed to seeing the best case scenario, because I was in the mindset thinking the worst case scenario, that way if the best thing happened, then I could be excited. It's that part of why not put out into the universe the best case scenario instead of worrying about something you know nothing about right now. Is it just is it a precaution, or was the doctor concerned with something? Okay, that's the part there. But the more you worry yourself over it, you become more in a frenzy and you put more stress on yourself. So it can actually exacerbate experience. It can cause more stress within the situation. But if people, like, I find it hard sometimes to go one-on-one with strangers because like there's parts of me that I have the feeling that okay, what are people really gonna think because I'm gonna come off maybe I'll come off as a bitch or an asshole or very inconsiderate or uncaring. And that's actually not it at all. It's because I've said it before. I'm here for more of the harder souls, more of the lost souls that are dealing with really heavy experiences that they're struggling with being able to bring them out because fear of what others will say or fear of what they're going to experience, bring it through. But it's helping people to come to their own answers because it's like you are the Akashic records. You just need to be reminded of that. You need to be reminded of how you're able to heal yourself. And I feel that it's spirit to spirit. So it's like, and this song's coming on, and it's like, did everything they said you did wouldn't do, and then afraid I'll find somebody new, and it's like, it's like when people want to find someone new, they're going to find someone new. It's a part of like not holding someone back. If there's certain circumstances, it's like with our mothers, we hold things back, and they hold things back, and they tell us everything. And I know other people who have a lot of disdain towards their mother, and they feel like they give all the attention to their other siblings, and they feel like they're the outcast. Or if you're feeling like you're the outcast in that sense, it's because they see your light and their darkness doesn't want to see it. So their darkness wants to beat the light out of you because you are mirroring something within them that they don't want to deal with within themselves. And that goes with our mothers too, because we mothers and daughters especially, they constantly mirror each other. And like the mothers and sons do it too, but you see a lot more in daughters and mothers because like our mothers are a big influence, very big influence. So if we see our mother not standing up, what ends up happening a lot of times we become not standing up either. Or we just figure that this is the way it's supposed to be, but it's actually not. Music is answer, yeah. I listen to a lot of frequencies too because they actually help. Like if I have anxiety, I listen to an anxiety frequency. If I have feel like there's a lot of heavy negative energy coming in on me, I actually listen to remove negative energy from yourself and around your home, and it does actually help. There's the sleep ones. There's like feeling like actually being the start feeling the love within yourself because it actually helps to heal on many different levels. 528 hertz, yes, 528 432 uh, 1111 369. 417 is actually negative energies. 285 actually helps with negative energies. And then doing the chakras, 963, that's actually said to be like another, like these are frequencies, but if it's making your body feel very off and not feeling very good, what it is, it's a fake. It's designed to make you uneasy, to manipulate your frequency into frustration or irritation. So it's doing the adverse effect. So when you feel that within your body, shut that frequency off and try another one because it's actually supposed to make your body feel good. So that's the part where, well, we're navigating through our body because our body's going to tell us everything. Like I know when I'm getting, and sometimes it's like, hey, you guys, just ease off just a little bit. So when I ask them to ease off just a little bit, then the vibration starts to kind of slow down some. It's like, holy shit. Okay, this is uncomfortable, you guys. Like I'm getting buzzing in my ass. So it's like, so, and with regards to this, I know, like, if my mom was still in the physical, because like she talks with me in these languages because that's what she is. She was an ancestor, and and I know that if my mom was here, she would support me fully. She would be kind of like having a little fun with me and sort of making fun of me, but not in a bad way. I get someone that when I speak this way, they start like pretending that they're actually trying to talk the language, and it's like 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 you got to allow yourself to be that kid because it's that kid that's bringing up the language. The language. It's the ancestry line that's bringing up the language. That's why it sounds like so many different things, and it's all intertwined sometimes because it's all the spirits coming in at once. And I know that my my mom and my ancestors and family members, especially on the feminine side, they're coming in with me and they're helping me to stand up because not only am I when I do it, not only am I is it helping stand up, but it's helping them because it's actually helping to empower them in different ways when they didn't. So now they're standing up and saying, hey, enough is enough. We're going to stand up. So that's where the feminine spirit, we're getting a lot of feminine energies standing up and coming forward and saying, enough is enough. Okay? We're not taking abuse anymore because it caused so much pain. And then it reflected on the children, it reflected on the family. And then the mothers, when they just like would have enough, we told them, oh, you're overreacting or you're crazy. You need help. Like, fuck you, man. Like, seriously? I need help? It's like, the abuse needs to stop. The expectations need to stop. And everybody needs to start coming together and working together opposed to sitting on, I'm going to say it, instead of, where'd it go? Instead of sitting on these, well, it's right here too. Instead of sitting on these fucking guitars and then sitting next to each other and going, oh, like that, like, think about it. People say, like, people are having their phones on them 24 hours a day. And my mom never had a cell phone. And my dad never had a cell phone until just like last year or something like that. Because my sister wanted him to have one because of like if he's driving or something like that. These cell phones. Okay. They say some people say, well, that's my lifeline. Your lifeline? Well, I have to say, what the frick was your lifeline before cell phones came around? And it's like, some would say, I just got some, use it for work. Yes, you use it. Okay, you use it for work. But why do people have to be on call 24 hours a day? Seriously. People expect, because somebody has a cell phone, they expect somebody to always answer it. Well, they have their cell phone. Why aren't they answering it? It's because they've unplugged from the system for a while. We're getting a lot of stuff said about we did lose each other. a lot, like with regards to the geometric storms and the solar flares coming in and what have you. Sometimes when they come in, holy crap, man. Like I can literally, it's like I'm feeling people who are waking up and I can literally feel the banging of the head. Like people are literally smashing their heads off the wall because they don't understand what they're going through. Because when they go for counseling or what have you, and if the counselor don't understand or have this information and this knowledge, because it's actually on a spiritual level. It's on spirit. And that's what you're actually experiencing. So it's creating a lot of mental health issues. And my mother was experiencing that. And I know she was. Very much. Because when you have them coming in and you're not working through them and you're not really dealing with it, you're not getting to that root, you're not getting to the seed that created the actual interruption in growth, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It stunts it. Sometimes we have to grow up fast. Like I said, my sister had to grow up fast. I grew up fast. I didn't really have a childhood because I was mature beyond my age. And some may say, "Well, you were mature girl." Well, I'll say, like, when I was 17 and my mom was getting out of the hospital and I was being put in, I had a sister that was 4 years older than me, and the therapist said that I was more mature than she was. So, and she was in her 20s. So, yes, I had to mature fast. I matured fast. I had independence. I may have not picked up a lot after myself, but I was being sexually molested at a very young age by relatives, not my father or anything like that, but from other relatives. And I don't know what, but sometimes memories come up of different things. And when that happens, it's because it's something that I didn't resolve or something I didn't get past. And a lot of, like, with my mom and I, we were reflecting each other because we were so similar. And like I would stand up, but then when things got worse for me and I had my car accident, I couldn't stand up no more because my body was physically weak. My health was physically weak. So when my health was physically weak, my emotional and mental state and my spiritual state, in a lot of cases, because I gave up hope. I gave up in a lot of aspects of believing that things would be better. But that's where believing that things weren't going to get better, it was actually keeping me stuck. And like my mom in 2017, she died in 2014, but in 2017, I had an experience where it was like something come, like a spirit came through the corner of the wall. When it came to from the corner of the wall, it was like just went right through my body and created an automatic panic anxiety attack. I got them to go over and get my son, and then they got me out of the apartment. So I called a medium from a paranormal investigation place, and they were talking to me, and they said that a grumpy old man attached himself to me between the age that from the time I was born to the age 2, so he can attach himself to me. Basically, yeah. And then all of a sudden she said, I have somebody trying to come through, and she was saying about the first letter of the name and stuff. I'm getting an SSS, and then like Sandy and SS, Sandy, and then all of a sudden she types out my mom's name. I was like, whoa, like that's my mom. And she's, yes, okay, yes, it is. She said, she's saying for you not to worry because everything was going to be okay. And then a couple of years after that, that was when I died. And then when I died and I got back and I had experience, it was right after I got hit. I had the experience, and that's when I started connecting with my mom on the spirit level. Do I see her physically? No, not through the two eyes, but through the God's eye, through the all-seeing eye, as they put it, through the pineal gland. I actually see to like be able to say what I'm seeing is difficult in ways, but I can kind of see that they're there and feel them there, and I can hear them, and I can hear when they're close. Sometimes like it's just like it's just like, and then I get this, it's gonna be okay. So I know that that's that part, like when you're a part of you, you actually experience what they would be doing because it's on the spirit plane, so you're feeling it on the physical plane, which can get confusing sometimes because what you feel with you here, you experience it here. So that's what you see over here is how you're feeling in here, and that's why we see chaos when we're feeling chaos within ourselves. I don't know if that's an abbreviation for like for clairvoyance. Okay. I actually like feel in every aspect. It's like the intuition, it's the clairvoyance of hearing, feeling, experiencing, and the part of it in a sense. But it's being able to experience, being able to allow yourself to experience the unknown. And some will say, "Oh, well, that going in the unknown, that's demonic. That's demonic." No, it's only demonic because of the aspect that they tell you it's demonic, so you feel like it's demonic because of something that somebody else says, because it's part of the program. Like a lot of people, I've talked to other people, and they've even said like they feel like people are watching them. They feel like people are around. Yes, it's not just it's not just a feeling. You are actually experiencing that. There was times through, and still at times, it's like it's with the universe. It's like when I was starting to go through it, and spirits were coming within, and what have you. It's like I was seeing, like others were seeing through my eyes, and I could feel that. And there were times when, like, I get up off the toilet and I like turn and to go to flush the toilet, and I'd be like this, like, or I like it was very strange, very. Some would describe it as very psychotic, but you know, that's just your interpretation of the labels that they like to put on people because you were programmed to think that way. No, it's not demonic. It's mostly an affiliation with the church that tells you it's demonic. Meanwhile, those ones that are telling you that it's demonic are actually using it themselves. Only they don't want you to know. The the churches were actually built from in structures that were actually healing. I was with my dad today, and he said about the church. My great granddaddy donated property for a church, and the church got built the same year that Canada was founded, eight or what have you. And there used to be a steeple on it. Well, the steeples actually had energy source properties, and that's why they got rid of them, and that's why they got rid of the electrical rods on top of housing. And they say it's so that it didn't hit the house, but it was actually an energy source. It was the receiver. Tesla. Our ancestors, they were telling us stuff like I'm right here. It's here. I told you. Like this, the union of Isis and Thoth. You read that, you find out that it was about healing properties. 369, the keys to the universe. It's like I don't go to. I want to experience church, but not the way it is. We need to bring back the old ways. Our ancestors had it right, and it was more or less beat out of them, taken from them, or fear caused on them. I said it before. Like my aunt and my my 6th, 7th great granddaddy in the Cornwallis thing in between 52 and 56. He was one of the victims of the scalping because he was defending the indigenous people. Free for all, yes. And they suppress it because they tell us, oh, well, you only use 10% of your brain. We only use 10% of our brain. What happened to the other 90%? Oh, wait a minute. If we only use 10% of our brains, that's not a whole lot. So wouldn't we be walking around like this? No. We'd be walking around not knowing much of anything. We wouldn't be moving a lot. We wouldn't be doing hardly anything. And I said it like there's a freaking, if you look up, okay, you have Antarctica. If you take the word Antarctica, the name Antarctica, and you spell it backwards, and you Google that name, you do actually get a place. It's actually on the west coast of Antarctica, and it is run by the government in a dictatorship. And they say on it that the people are very low educated, and they want to keep us. They keep us dumbed down. But we still use more than 10% of our brain. We're just told that that's all you can use. But no, when you start using your brain, that's when you connect with your empathic side, you connect with your intuition, you connect with your clairvoyance, and you connect with your your abilities of telepath, telekinesis, astral projection. You can even connect with being able to teleport. And we can even fly. But we levitate. Nikola Tesla even says it. He refers to himself as Lucifer, just so you know that, people. Because he was asked, how would you explain yourself? And he said, like Lucifer. So we're told that this is all bad, that this is bad. But it's like, was there really a fight in a sense? Or like, was because it all pertained to a lot of control. And I mean, we live in a world where it's like the masculine overpower the feminine. So was it actually like the feminine that got rebooted because the feminine wanted something different for themselves and didn't want to live on a narrative? Many hidden secrets. No, those sneakers, those hidden secrets, they're inside of you because they're your secrets. Only you are made to forget them because they're part of the Akashic records. It's like a doctor keeping records, and they tell you that, oh, well, no, you can't have these records. You need to go through a whole bunch of shit and hoopty law in order to get access to your own records, to your own story, to your own life. Click, click, Men in Black, I'm going to flash you with the light, and you're not going to remember, but only the light, the actual Christ consciousness, the Christ light that's coming in is what's actually opening you, your own Akashic records. Free of charge. I mean, you might have to go through the dark night of the soul and through the shadow work, but you can find your own freedom. Dice que la tutoría está ahí. Sí, está ahí. Well, that's up to you. That's entirely up to you. In all honesty, I really don't care because I choose spirit. And spirit's both masculine and feminine. That's fine. Your Akashic records are your records, and it's up to you if you want to give people access through your records and what parts of the records you want to give access to. Yeah. Like I said, I know that I'm going to get trolls in here. I'm going to get people in here that's going to sit and ridicule me. But, sometimes maybe those are the same people that are praying to God and saying Jesus is coming to save you. Saying. I hear a lot of people, and I've said it many times. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, even if the truth was sitting in front of you, you still wouldn't believe it. Because, see, most people are looking for somebody with a certain look. Because how the look is perceived. But just remember, the spirit that works through that person can take on the form of a man or a woman. It's Christ consciousness. It's Christ consciousness. Spirit can be everywhere and nowhere at the same time because spirit is everything. Can see you in your dreams, can see you in the physical realm, in the spirit realm, can see you anywhere because it's all energy. Some of us even have dreams that we're experiencing, and we're experiencing ourselves in different forms. Different spirit. Most dreams, you don't see yourself, so you don't see yourself as to who or what you are. You just know you're seeing something. You could be seeing something through the eyes of a dog. That everything is not as it seems. And you get that song too. It's not as it seems. And then the song where it says, I got spirits in my head and they won't go. Well, there's the spirit in your head and you won't go. You know, I'm here to tell you that's the spirit saying, okay, it's time to deal with me now. Like, are you ready? Because spirit's saying, you know, it's time. It's time. I watched Bruce Almighty. I understood that concept of it. He wanted everything for himself and it destroyed his relationship. But then when he realized, and then he had to die to realize it was her that he wanted. He wanted family. What good is money, or what good is and a lot of things you have nobody to share it with, unless like you know you could be really like just wanting everything for yourself, which would be kind of like a kid that doesn't want to share with anybody, that just sits and hoards everything for themselves. But meanwhile, they think they're happy, but in many ways they're missing something. And I'm not saying that people aren't able to spend time and have fun with themselves and enjoy their own company, because we can. But I'm gonna let you know when you're going on, when it's always, it gets pretty fucking lonely. And then when you start getting close to someone, you push it away because we feel like, well, we got to get rid of it now. We got to let it go before we get hurt. So then we jump to someone else, and then oh, we're throwing the same thing, because when we get in, if we're in a good relationship and we get afraid because it feels like it's too good, we run, because in some aspects it feels like we're not worthy of that relationship, or we're not worthy of what we're receiving, and we keep ourselves from our own worthiness. And I know that there's times when I feel that way, and I know that with my mom, she knew she wanted it, but she didn't know how to get there. So now we are all coming together now, and we're standing up for those people that couldn't stand up for themselves. And I just release chakra. Like, I might come on here and appear like a crazy lady or a lunatic, or come off as a bitch or an asshole. You might like me, you might not. You might love me, you might not. Like, hate, love, loathe, what have you. And some may not even understand what it is that I'm talking about, what I'm bringing forth. And some may say, but well, I don't understand your language. Well, that's okay, because your higher self does. And is your body feeling something? Whether it be aggression towards me, or laughter, or connection of understanding, feeling emotional, crying, laughing. Are you getting? Are you responding in ways? Even the irritation, because when you're feeling irritation or aggression or what have you towards me, that's because it's in many ways it's hitting the nerve of your shadows, because it's bringing and it's pissing your shadows off, because your shadows are hearing something that they don't want to hear, because they know it's true in a large degree. I have somebody that I work with, and I can always tell when the shadows have disdain for me, because an eye starts twitching, like, and it's just like they get that disdain look, and I know, and I'll call it out, because I know what they're experiencing. And I'll laugh and I'll tell them, like, I know, like, it's not per se you that experiencing that or bringing that forward to my visual presence. If I had upon her earlier today, I'll tell you right now, probably not too many people would have understood what I was talking about because I was crying. I was literally crying. Like I was crying hard at times where it just like the tears were coming and the snot was rolling out. So it was clearing. I was allowing myself to experience that feeling. And in so experiencing that feeling, it was allowing myself to bring it up to the surface so that I could not only feel it, but release it. And a lot of the time, we have pain from the mother or we have pain from the father, and sometimes it's from both, and we don't know what they've gone through. And it's that aspect of Yeshua, Jesus, however you refer to, or ones before them. It's all in. It's all in this experience, because true wisdom and true knowledge comes through experience, seeing it, feeling it, experiencing it as a whole. Like we can read books, okay, but when you're reading a book, it's that part of remembering that, okay, that's from that person's perspective. Like some people, it's like a competition, and I'm not in competition with people. I know that there's a good possibility that I'm not going to ever or come in connection with someone like me. And I have to come to that realization. I know that people would say I don't fit in because I'm not of something that appears normal to others. It's like, why do you do that? Instead of asking questions to understand what it is that you're witnessing or what it is that you're experiencing. But it's okay if you don't. But it's not part of, if you're not going to take the time, then I have to say to you, why are you throwing shade on people like myself if you're not going to take the time? And we give you a little bit of insight. But when you turn them away, it's your shadows turning them away. Because everyone was stuff like myself, most people have a curiosity. It's like a lot of people, like when they die, they come back with different abilities, with clairvoyance, traumatic experiences, causes, and then people don't understand what it is they're experiencing, or the people that are witnessing it don't understand what that person is doing, what they're doing, or what they're experiencing, because that's where the questions go to books, and people go to the Bible, and everything is said in the Bible, or biblical texts, or other texts affiliated with it, even philosophy and just different ancient texts. It all says about it. only they don't teach. They don't teach it. They teach what they want you to know. Not what they know, but only what they want you to know. It's the same as when you look on the news. You have the editor. They have the last word. You can bring in a whole story that explains everything, but they're going to take bits and pieces out of it in order to fit their agenda. It's called editing, right? I went on the news one time with regards to epilepsy and the side heater blew on the side of my house, and I was dazed without it, and my phone was hooked through the electricity. So I contacted them about the weight that what people had to go through and the prices that they pay. And I know what was being said. And when I watched it, they had cut so much stuff out of it to fit their agenda, and it wasn't even the main point. Should have got put in. So that's the same as these texts. We don't get everything. And then it's all scrambled. And then it's more reading between the lines and actually stepping out of the book and putting yourself in the situation because you were in it. But people don't want to believe it. It's our stories because we're everywhere. There's different forms of us here, there, and everywhere. And that's why you have a connection with people. Sometimes they look familiar. It's because it's a familiar part of you. And then I go sometimes and I'm walking around. There are people that I see and I come in connection with, and they remind me so much of my mom. Right now, I'm feeling in here between the solar plex and the heart chakra. I actually, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I actually had a very good conversation with someone. And I'm really grateful and appreciative that they allowed me to talk. And that they didn't judge me for it, that they actually didn't leave me feeling like I was out to lunch, or that they actually told me I was filled with a lot of wisdom, and they said it's like I'm unworldly, like I'm not from this world, and I know that the soul part of me, that a part of me passed when I died, and then a stronger part of me came back. This I work with spirit. And you're gonna get what appears to be light. You're gonna get what appears to be like really dark and like holy fuck, like you, like, are you all right? Like you're so aggressive. And it's like, hey, am I really aggressive or is it just that I'm fucking fed up? Basically, that's right. Some say, oh, she curses a lot. Well, this is it's more the masculine that curses. It's like, And I'm not making fun of anybody. It's that part of like me, like sort of in the, like I was in the daw and now I'm in the enlightened. It's like it's about time that masculine part of me comes and says like, hey, you know, you're not going to treat these people like this no more. But I also know that it's the mother coming up and defending the child. You see that with the day. But it's working together to be able to see it all. See that. Yes, the energy. Puedes solamente super. Lasciare se creando questo tutore perché chimica è lasciare tutore perché creata perché hai che setta è super. I have no shame walking around doing this in public or speaking like this or what have you. I have no shame in it. And it's that part of like, put it this way, if you want to try to suppress someone or think that a person should suppress themselves, I have to ask, would you really want that to happen to you? Because if you say yes, I'm going to say, well, you know what? You're actually lying to yourself because you actually don't want it done to you. You just more or less stop because of how it's leaving you feel. Yeah. I don't always read the comments all the time because I take my glasses off because they irritate me. No judgment, just learning. And we learn from ourselves. We even have to learn not to judge ourselves. Like actually, like if we're feeling a certain way, ask ourselves why are you feeling that way? Like what just happened? But it's because another aspect of yourself comes home, and it's coming home for you to help it heal. This is what the schools need to be about. Instead of putting somebody in a seat and telling them you have to stay there for 6 hours, even 5-year-olds, you got to stay there for 6 hours. You got to keep doing work. Like, and like it's instead of using the creative mind, it's keeping you focused on what's going to cause your body harm, cause you anxiety, cause you rage and fighting and discrimination. I don't like the school system, and I will be honest. I don't like it because it's actually not teaching what needs to be done. It did. They took the God aspect out of things. It's not about preaching. It's about the actual God aspect of it, the Christ aspect of it, the oneness of it, bringing you back to the oneness, bringing you back to self, to spirit, bringing you back to the masculine, feminine, and teaching us how to create for not just ourselves, but for the world. Because, like we take from the earth. It's constantly taking. It's like taking from someone, because we like the earth. We get taken from. We get taken from. We get raped. We get gouged. We get torn apart, and they wonder why we're fighting back, and then we're told that you can't. We're gonna bring in all these different laws to keep you from being able to fight back. It's like take your man-made laws and shove them up your fucking ass, because your man-made laws are not for the benefit of the people. It's for the benefit of your own selfish, ignorant greed to hide things from the people. people are going to war not so much to protect. Well, they're going to war thinking that they're protecting themselves and their family members, but they're actually going to war to protect dirty secrets. The secrets of doing. And then others come in, and the others are sent in to bash us down, beat us down, to try to shut us up. And they'll do it through the mind. They'll do it telepathically. They do it through remote viewing. And you want to watch me here? I'll fucking moon you, and you can watch me. I was born rich, so I was coming out into this world with my ass coming first, telling you to kiss my ass on the fucking way out. But then you drugged me up. Misled us into thinking that what you had was going to help us when it actually wasn't fucking helping us. It was killing us, and it was suppressing us. Yes, I'm not fond of the systems. Not at all. Because, as I said, and I'll say it again, the sins are the systems. Because their sins are systems integrated into society. And everyone that tries to come out of the systems, it's like they're being pushed to their limit. And then you wonder why people react the way they do. Don't so much blame the system as have a gander at the inside of the true sins, the inside of the systems that you're not seeing because it's only putting stuff on the surface for you to see. Because that's all they have to do, just feed you a little bit. But in the meantime, keep the bigger picture back. It's like, here, let's start digging into their Akashic records. Like they like to dig into ours and abuse them and misuse them and manipulate. Because if they're doing Akashic records, like a doctor will do your records, but they have so many clients, so many patients throughout the day that you'll find if you look through your records, they'll be in there from other people's life or other names. So is the Akashic records being manipulated? Yes. And that's why we're all feeling like we're going bonkers because the Akashic records are sorting themselves out. It's like when you go in and you have a filing cabinet and everything is in certain places, the right places, but then somebody different goes in and they freaking start scattering around. Think of the movie The Grinch, okay? When the Grinch went into the post office, he was in the back and he was taking people's mail and he was shifting it all over the place. Okay? He was shifting it all over the place. So if he was shifting it all over the place, it was putting the wrong things in the wrong spot. So it's like our Akashic records. Things are getting manipulated, just like the book. Life should be enjoyed. Exactly. That's why I said, like, I come off as a bitch right now, but I want to get to. I'm working on getting to the fun. I am fun when I have fun. I'm fun. I'm simple. I'm like just like a kid, and I have all those aspects because like the kid can act like an adult sometimes because it takes on the adult role, and sometimes the adult can act like a child sometimes. And that's when, like, okay, you get Freaky Friday, the movie Freaky Friday. I don't know who they were. But anyways, it was the movie of Freaky Friday where the mother and daughter, they were complaining, saying about each other's life, and they kind of they switched places, and until they did an act that was unselfish and was doing it for the other one, then that's when they switched back. So we're coming forward now and we're doing unselfish things. So we're able to come back to our heart space. And that's what it is when they say pulling our power back. Love is your power, and we were giving it, you're giving it, it gets given out. And then when we want to, like, we're in the now, but we don't like what's going on in the now. So we want to put ourselves somewhere else. So that's what ends up happening. We send ourselves away from ourselves. And then that's like a piece of ourself is gone. Because we don't want to deal with that piece that makes us uncomfortable. Train going by, confirmation. Learn from each other. That's what we're supposed to be learning from each other, not from a system. Because we all come in with the knowledge. It's just programmed out of us. And garbage program put in. So it's like taking down, like sifting through the timelines of what's actually real. It's like we get that, like, yeah, not great. Oh, hold on. How do I do this? Sorry. I just I don't know how to how do I get the conversation? Oh, swipe left to close. Okay, there. I told you, I'm not real techie because I know from like where my soul is actually from. I know that like I'm of the technology where I know that we are it. Our mind, our brain, our heart together, like working together. We work through energy. Thank you for coming in today. No, that's great. It's fine. Thank you. Have a great supper. And I should get going too. 2:22 on the clock right now, as I said too. So I'm gonna actually leave it there myself because it's after 10 and I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get ready to go to school. Che giusto che vedere su moeda. Secreto, essere influencer. If you've come in and you like the video, thank you very much. Or what have you. As I said, I didn't come in here for likes, shares, subscribes, money, gifts, or what have you. I came in here to enlighten people, to help people, just like to work with people to so that they can see that it's okay to like be afraid this way. It's okay to be afraid of the shadows. But the shadows are nothing to really be afraid of because the shadows are actually just saying, I need to resolve this. We need to get through this. People living deeply have no fear of death. What deeply is, I'm interpreting it as like if you're live deeply, like go within yourself, see your shadows, and work through them. You won't have that fear anymore. So with that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself. Be your authentic self. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Be who you are, not who somebody says you are. Be kind to yourself. be kind to others, and know that you are more powerful and you have more strength than you can comprehend sometimes. I'm sending you all love. Have a good night. Thank you. Yeah, my fingers over again. You get your right body, and it's like nothing works anymore. Oh, there we go. Today.